Inventory clicking over on the new year was at 12-year highs. Inventory's flooding back 50% faster than last year. Sales are at the same pace. Every single seller I'm meeting with right now wants between 5 and 10% more than market value for their property. And what I'm trying to get across is you will sell for less later because you're trying to get more now. Welcome to the Tom Storey Show with Steve Karrasch and Tom Storey, where we discuss everything real estate or whatever else is on our minds.
Welcome back to the Tom Storey Show. Steve, I'm curious, has anything happened in the last week that you think we need to talk about, or can we just jump right into the real estate side of things?
The part I want to talk about is the real estate side of things. What do you want to talk about?
Well, there was a change at the top of our government, and thank goodness that we recorded when we did this week so we could talk about this, because typically what happens with a podcast is we record something and then the day after this massive news comes out.
Something comes out the second after.
And I feel like we're a little bit behind. But before we jump into that, Happy New Year to everybody. Second episode of 2025. Steve, are you doing dry January this year?
Oh, yeah.
Are you?
Yeah. My vacation got out of hand. I put on 10 pounds just in the 6 days I was out of town. And I think that's because I had 2-3 bottles of booze to myself. So we are definitely back on track because we're getting a little, like our government, bloated these days. So,
getting a little bloated. I found for myself. What's that? No, go for it. Go.
I was going to say, do we have to do politics first? But let's talk about Tom and then politics. So if you actually want to hear about real estate, you maybe need to fast forward about 10 minutes. But
about 10 minutes from here. No, I've been doing dry January for like the last 5 years, and the only time it becomes a little bit difficult is I play hockey every Wednesday night, and you have a beer after hockey. But played this week and had a non-alcoholic beer, and it felt the same, and I felt really good waking up this morning. So,
do you know how much I love beer? Like, I'd never drink it, but
You love beer? I don't know if I love beer.
I would crush 12 Coors Lights if it was up to me, like
stop
every
showing
single
off.
day. But instead, I have now switched to Jameson and Diet Coke. So that seems to be where it's at.
Which is worse? I feel like 12 light beers is probably better than hard alcohol, no?
Something about the Irish just really agrees with me, right? Like, wife's Irish, alcohol's now Irish.
Right.
I should probably wear more green. Yeah. So, dry January. I'm going to start calling it from now.
Let us know in the comments if you're also doing dry January. And also, just before we get into political talk, because I think we have to this week, is if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Our goal is to get the show to at least 8,000 by the end of this year. We're continuously doing it, but I know a lot of people show up every week, watch this, and don't subscribe. So if you have a moment, we would really appreciate that.
And if you're like, just watching and you watch for like 5 or 10 minutes, just let it run in the background. Yeah. Mute us. Just let it run in the background. Tell the YouTube algorithm that, you know what, this guy's worth watching and Steve's here too. And so just let it run. Like, it's not going to hurt you. Just let it run.
I still find it mind blowing sometimes from where we started this show, just kind of the attention that we get and that people listen and they're interested in the comment section. I'm very grateful that people show up every week, but they're not going to show up every week if we don't get to it, Steve. So let's get to it. On Monday morning, earlier this week, Justin Trudeau said he was stepping down. He didn't step down that day, but said he will eventually step down once the Liberals sort everything out. I know kind of leading into Monday, there was lots of reports going over last weekend that this was going to happen. Steve, your initial reaction, and then I've got some things I want to discuss on this.
I mean, they're worried about the narcissist to the south, and then now you have a dude that will not fall on his own sword even,
right? And
instead is going to hold the government paralyzed and captive for another 4 months, rather than just call an election,
right?
And say, you know what, vote for me or don't vote for me. We're going to have a leadership race now. So, like, I don't know if you have not listened, no matter where you are on the political spectrum, if you have not listened to the Jordan Peterson, Pierre Poilievre interview, that came out, I think, the Thursday before or something. Like, you have to listen to that because that is the direction that our country is going, whether you agree with it or not. And he basically said in that, Pierre Poilievre said, like, we now have to, or I guess he didn't know yet that this was happening, but like, we have to wait for the Liberal Party of Canada now to get their crap in order because they've also not only screwed up the country, they've screwed up their party. And now we're all going to be paralyzed as a result of it, right? I will tell you, after listening to that Pierre Poilievre interview, it's the most, and I understand he's a politician and we're going to hate him in 10 years too.
Yeah.
Right. Or 8 years.
It was also a one-sided interview. Just like Peterson didn't really push him on anything, just to put that out there. I know. Yeah. I know. Yeah.
Okay. Well, all right.
I'm not saying I disagree. I want to put that out there.
It's the most positive I have felt about our country in 5 years. So I just was like, there's some hope here. There's some reasonable stuff going on. I thought it was great. Now, let's talk about the resignation speech, because you want to talk about this, not me. I want to talk about real estate.
I want to talk about this. Did you notice where he did? Did you notice where he did the speech? Where he was standing out front of? But does that take you back to anything?
Oh, just, I mean, that's where.
But where was he doing most speeches from outside his house during? Where we were all together and you know, when he was staying there, he was like, Canadians, come home. It's time to come home.
Maybe he's just sick of getting shouted down every time he walks into Parliament.
I think he did that intentionally to make it seem like he was reminding people, this is how you felt when we were bringing the country together.
When we all hated being locked down forever.
It may have been before we had the hate. It was maybe early days of it, but yeah.
Here's what I noticed from his speech, because I listened to the entire thing and I was like, this is a heavy political moment in our country for Canadians.
I watched it live.
All I really got of it was he continued to, and this is where, you know, and they're like, oh, this guy's a globalist, post-nationalist, all this stuff. And everybody's like, oh, no, he's not. He's Canadian. When he said that they asked him about Pierre Poilievre, and he said Pierre Poilievre's thought process is too small. And all he does is think about, you know, he's basically telling Canadians to think about themselves and their families. And that's very short-sighted. And we should think bigger. And we should think about the planet. And we should think about, like, basically, he took this kind of global rhetoric that everybody's accused him of doing and proved that he is that. So he is, the term post-nationalist is like, you know, basically we're going to have this big kind of world government, right? And we all know. So he basically said, listen, and I understand I'm reading into it, but I'm reading into it because I think this is what he thinks. He's like, listen, Pierre Poilievre thinks you should take responsibility for yourself and that Canadians should focus on themselves and their families. And you guys don't know what's best for you, but I do. And unfortunately, all of you that are thinking the other way, you just don't know what I know, and that what I know is best for you. So I was just like, get this guy out of here as fast as possible. But unfortunately, now we're going to be with him until at least May as a lame duck as the States tears us apart.
Do you think he did it like this because now he's not going to be the face of the Liberal Party when they inevitably probably lose in the election in 2025? Like, it's not going to be that Trudeau lost to Poilievre. There'll be somebody else that's in there for a short period of time, likely. And you don't think so? You think he's just doing it really because he wants the Liberal Party to figure it out and have a fighting chance, and he understands that he's not that person? What do you think?
No, this is the thing that gives him power for even longer, for the longest amount of time possible.
Not that much longer, though, but yeah.
But longer than calling an election in 35 days. He could call back emergency parliament right now. He could walk in there and say, listen, we need an election. And he chose not to do that. So he did whatever he could to hold on to power as long as possible because he thinks he is the right option. And like absolute 100% as worst play as you possibly could have, because if you cared about the country, it's obvious the country.
Worst play for who? For Canadians.
For the country. For you and me and everybody else.
But not his party and him.
His party, I don't know. So I was sitting there listening to my favorite CBC the other day, Power and Politics, I think it was. And
They
were
push.
like,
They push, by the way, on all
there's
sides. They're good.
there's a really good argument that the Bloc is going to form opposition.
Oh, I think so. Are they not?
The separatist party of
Yeah, we
Canada
kind of forgot about that, man.
is now the second best option. Are you kidding me? Right? Like the party that represents
leaving
the country is now like, yeah, we're doing pretty good here, and only represents one province, by the way, and a province that is a suck on the rest of the country currently, not always, but currently. So I don't know. I think it was continuing to show how much he thinks he is important, and he thinks he knows better than everybody else, and it was pushed to this point. And I'm so grateful that it's going to be over eventually, because we need it. And I was now I don't believe, let me say this, I don't believe we're going to like Pierre Poilievre in 10 years any better than we like Trudeau now, because that's the way Canadian politics works. But I will say, for his values of what he's trying to push, at least to get elected, which is really easy to do when everybody hates the guy that's in power right now. He was like, listen, we're going to take responsibility for ourselves. We're going to make the economy good. And he basically, I mean, the line I like the best from it is, Justin Trudeau had the party and I get the hangover. It's going to be terrible, because he's going to fire people, and he should fire people. He should fire tons of government workers, because they are a suck on the tax-paying system. And I wish they weren't, but they are, right? I really wish that you could employ everybody from the government and everybody would be happy. But the government's paid with tax dollars, and they need to, instead of increase taxes, they need to spend less and let us keep more of the money that we earn outside of the government. That is the right way to run it. Anyway, that is rant over. Tom Storey, what do you think?
I will say I had to call the CRA the other day to get something done that wasn't working online. And I was only on hold for 20 minutes, and they were actually very helpful. They were helpful.
Are you telling me that the CRA's website doesn't work correctly? Are you saying that?
It wasn't working correctly for what I was trying to do.
But when you got the call center in Bangladesh,
that's not actually where it is it? There's no way.
No, they just moved Bangladesh here to be our
call center. I see what you're saying.
In Quebec somewhere.
2025 will go down as a historic year, likely, because I don't know if this has ever happened before, and people can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. There's a very good chance that in one calendar year, Steve, we have 3 prime ministers. JT's still the prime minister. Whoever comes in next.
No, it's probably 100. It's almost 100% chance. Yeah.
Well, nothing's 100%, but it's close.
They're not going to elect Trudeau again as party leader. That's for sure.
So I know things could change between. This is coming out a few days after we're filming, but from what we know now, does it not just seem like Carney's going in there? No, is someone going to pop out of nowhere that we didn't see coming?
I hope Carney, as terrible of a person I think he is, from not knowing him, not personally, but politically.
Okay.
I think he would. I hope he's not as stupid as that. I hope he goes ahead and takes the leadership role later on. I mean, It's crazy that you can become the leader of the Liberal Party and not even be a politician. That's insane.
You can become the prime minister.
Apparently, you can be a prime minister and not even be. Yeah.
Well, Trump's not a politician. Well, he wasn't previously, and he went right in there. I mean, is that not what people said they just wanted?
He ran.
Sure.
I mean, he got elected.
Fair. Okay.
I mean, I think you're going to get one of these people that was probably not very well known.
As the scapegoat to lose the election?
No, they're going to get to be prime minister for like a month or 2 or 3.
Yeah, I know.
And they're going to be like, hey, dude, I went from backbench parliamentarian to like prime minister of a G7 country. Even if it was for 3 months, man, that's like one of those Make-A-Wish things or something. And then they're going to get slaughtered out back, right? And then Carney will come in.
After. So like someone's going to be the scapegoat. So it's like whoever they put there, it's like the Liberal Party knows they have to put someone that could change voters' minds very quickly, which is going to be very difficult.
I don't think they do, because everyone knows they're losing.
They know they're going to lose. So they're just going to figure out who can we put here that's willing to go here, be in history as the person that was only there for a certain period of time, and then we never hear about them again, and
Didn't we
Carney
have
takes
one of those
over.
once? Didn't we have like Kim Campbell or
Yeah,
something? That was
I don't know the
for, like,
exact period of time, but
7 or 8 seconds when I was like 8 years old or something.
yeah.
I don't know. It's the trouble I have, or what I think is most likely, is Carney will come in at some point, and because the country will be so bad for the next 4 to 6 or 8 years, we won't like Polyev anymore, and everybody's going to go, okay, let's switch to Carney. And if you think Justin Trudeau was a member of the World Economic Forum, Carney's half running that thing, man. He is definitely a burn it all down. We need to tax ourselves into oblivion, because he's on his private jet, and
Right.
like it's that agenda times 10, right? And hopefully it will just continue to crumble, because if you go down that political agenda, you tend to eat yourself, right? Like when you look at, and this is an extreme, and I understand I only speak in extremes to get my point across, but if you look at like the Stalinist communist government, Stalin communist government, those people just fought for power, and they killed each other literally on the regular to get more power. And we're just going to do that politically because we don't off each other's heads anymore. So I don't know. I think the right way is to course correct. We're probably going to course correct too far, and then things will get crazy, because when the conservatives come in, they start making rules that are based around maybe religion, as opposed to the current woke religion that we have, which is laws being made around. So I don't know. It's all a big mess. And that's why maybe we need to become the 51st state.
I'm getting worried that he's not stopping on this, and he like I
Here's
think he
the thing,
really
though.
does the states not need Canada? Because that's what he's saying. They say they really think they don't need us at all.
I don't get that. I think he realizes how good of a. I think he looks at it, and it is worrying, because it's becoming more and more of a troll that maybe not be a troll,
right?
But he's looking at it going, those people are wasting that land, and I don't disagree with that. Those people are wasting their resources. They have amazing things up there, and they're squandering it. Now, is it real? No. But if you would have told me 10 years ago, I probably would have, there was going to be some sort of a legit like conflict with the Americans and Canadians. I would have been the guy with my maple leaf and, going down to the reserves and getting a gun to fight for my country.
Are you still that guy?
No, man. I was like, wait a minute. Can I move to Tucson if he takes over? Can I go to where I just was on vacation? And
is our dollar just going 1-to-1? Can we just have the American dollar?
The amount of people that have said to me, if you trade me $1 for American, join us up. Like, let's get in there. No customs to go to Vegas, and I could move to Nashville. I'm down, bro.
Realtors, it's time to up your game. Realty Ninja allows you to create a stunning lead capturing and hassle-free website that looks great and will match with your current brand. They are a sponsor of this show, and they're giving listeners 20% off your first year, and you don't pay $1 until you launch. Join the thousands of real estate agents across this country, including Steve, the cheapest person I know that uses their services. realtyninja.com/Tom. And now, back to the podcast. I've been thinking a lot about this recently, and we've had this conversation. I've said this kind of like off podcast many times to people, and this is like politically,
but talk to people not on a podcast.
Sorry, yeah, once in a while. Bringing it back to real estate is like, okay, we all like, we've been divided in Canada, and I don't feel I'm not that old, not as old as Steve at least. But I don't feel at any point in my life that Canadians have been so divided politically. It kind of feels like what was happening in the States forever, I guess. But if we bring this back to real estate and we go, okay, if the Liberals remain in power, I don't care what anyone says. I only care what they do. It is very clear from what they are doing, not what they are saying, that if Liberals remain in power, big real estate crashes don't really happen. Prices accelerate pretty quickly. People take on more debt. So if you're in the camp that you want your value to go up forever and screw the next generation and it's all about me, then I actually think that, like, I understand why some people maybe look at that and like the Liberals. Because you know what's going to happen, Steve, right? Like, if and probably when the Conservatives win in 2025, there's going to be some things put in place that actually limit the growth of real estate. And it's a tough position because it's hard to like bring it down significantly because so many people are involved. But I don't think we're going to see anywhere close to the growth we saw previously, which, by the way, is probably a good thing.
Which is a very good thing.
However, it is a good thing.
The biggest growth, that's not true, though. The two biggest crashes in Canadian real estate history, 1981-82, was under a previous Trudeau, and 2022 was under this Trudeau.
Why did they crash? Why did they crash? What needs to happen before a crash?
You have mass inflation.
Okay. I mean, and
stupid government spending, mass immigration more than the country can handle, right?
So because of what the government did, it had to crash. I'm saying if it's more calm the entire time and we have reasonable growth, you're not going to have big crashes because there's no massive mountain before it.
They create the bubble.
Well, that's it. That's what I'm saying.
So the bubble was, like, when you look at values now in my market, the bubble was November, December, January, February, March, April of
22.
21,
22.
Yeah. Right. So they create the bubble. And then, as we've talked about before, we've already seen we're kind of back at 6-7% growth. So that's fine. Their policies are terrible. And to prove the policies are terrible, they overspent by only 50% of the largest deficit of all time. $40 billion deficit for what, 3 years in a row, and oops, 60 billion. Missed it.
It's almost like because Freeland resigned, we've kind of skipped over how bad the deficit was with all this other news that has come out.
Yeah,
not really. So not really talking about it.
Think about that. She's like, not only do you have to deliver this terrible news to the country, but I'm also going to fire you after you do it.
Right.
That son of a bitch could have walked in there, and if he thought he was the best option and that he was doing well, he could have delivered that statement himself.
Didn't they just like kind of drop it? They just dropped it off and left for the day?
Yeah, they were just like, oh, by the way, it's outside because we're all eating each other alive in in Parliament, or we're not in Parliament because they aren't there. But like, it's terrible, man. It just goes to show you how dysfunctional it all is. And you can't think about if you ran your household and your finances the way the government does.
Yeah, you go
would
broke.
all be filing for bankruptcy.
Yeah.
Right. And the fact that people think that's good, so a couple of poor kids in some province somewhere can have clean teeth, is crazy to me. I understand that's insensitive. I'm unsensitive. Tell you what, if you really want those kids to have free teeth, a teeth cleaning I think we're around $250 now, something like that, when I pay for a teeth cleaning because I don't have benefits.
Did you become an Ontario realtor, Steve?
Families,
that's an add-on.
Reduce that family's tax burden by $250. Don't take in the money in the first place, because to give a family $250 worth of dental care, you have to take in like $800 of tax from them. Right? Stop it. Put more, like, stop giving me tax breaks or stop giving me back tax money. Just don't collect it in the first place. It's a better system.
And because now Parliament is on hold until end of March 20 something. I saw the news channels flip-flop on this. First, I saw a story come out saying, okay, because they're on hold, nothing's going through. Don't worry, that new capital gain changes is no more.
Yeah, it hasn't descended yet.
But then the next day, the CRA was like, nope, because it was tabled at Parliament, we are moving forward with it.
Oh, I think they're going to collect it.
Oh, yeah, they're going to. But what are they going to do?
Legal.
They give it back? Like,
it's not legal.
That's
It
what I'm
has not gone
saying.
through the Senate yet. It hasn't received royal
But
assent.
CRA is saying like, we're taking it.
Of course, because they need to. Think about this. If they don't take that massive capital gain increase,
Right.
the deficit is what?
Oh, it's gonna get, yeah. But then, but
70,
is it
80
better
billion?
is it better to take it and then have to give it back?
They'll never give it back.
Well, they have to.
No, they don't.
Because you don't think if the Conservatives get in that they'll change that, they won't reverse that.
I hope they do. I'm buying all growth stocks right now in hopes that they will change it. And I think they will.
Well, I will say if PP follows on what he's saying, that would be one thing that would encourage people to actually bring their business to Canada, be an entrepreneur here, and not want to go move to.
It's going to be
the
really
States.
telling, because if they start repealing like the online, the child,
Yeah.
what's it called? Child Protection Online Act, whatever, where you can now be put on house arrest if they think you're going to say something offensive. That is insane. It is real Canadian law now. So like if he doesn't overturn that stuff, he's just a politician. He's bad as everybody else.
Okay. Well, he's been calling out the other side for a long time, and once he's in, you know, we'll hopefully have the same amount of attention on what he's doing, right?
Yeah, can't wait till he's the bad guy.
Okay. If we didn't
Real estate,
already
how far in are
have
we?
enough things to complain about to start the show, do you want me to save the BC home flipping tax for a little bit, or do you want to get to it now? Because I've actually had several people be like, I want to know what Steve thinks about this. I'm excited to watch him lose his mind. I've had people tell me this.
Because the federal home flipping tax wasn't enough?
So to the viewers and listeners, can you explain this new BC tax where basically nobody ever is going to take a property that's not in very good condition, fix it up, and sell it, because this now makes it make no sense.
We're going to have communist housing.
Right.
It is absolutely terrible. Oh, here's the other thing. Did we talk about this too right before we do? That a bunch of the, or at least one of the laws that Ravi and David Eby put in has been found to be unconstitutional.
Which one?
Get to that.
Which one?
So the part where they remove community involvement.
Oh, like to go to the meetings and vote on.
Yeah. A judge has found that to be unconstitutional because you cannot just tell the people what they're going to do. You have to have the opinions of the people.
Can we at least speed it up though? Fine. But like, can we speed up that process?
Well, you know what they're trying to do? They're trying to put in affordable housing. Let's call it what it is. Social housing, welfare housing in one of the most expensive neighborhoods in all of Vancouver. So, and they want to put it like 450, crackhead units or whatever. So, and then guess what? The people with money were like, we're going to court. And they won.
That's what happened. Okay.
So BC home flipping tax. So if you buy a property now, you may not, you may sell it at any time.
Mm-hmm.
But if you sell it within the first 12 months, any gain that you have on the property is taxed at 20%.
That was already in place previously, correct?
No, this is the new.
This is the new one.
This is the new one this year.
Yeah. All right.
And for the next 12 months after that, it's a sliding scale. So like the closer you are to 24 months, the lower it goes, right?
Sure.
So what that does is all home flippers are, there's no profit now. Not that there was profit, let's face it. There's not a lot of people that were doing it. They were taking advantage of a hot market is all they were doing at the time.
They weren't really home flipping. They were holding homes and then selling them for more. Yeah.
So then there's all these exemptions, divorce,
of course,
moving, and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. You have to remit the tax. I think it's something like 45 to 90 days after the property sells. This isn't like remit it with your capital gains the next tax year. You have to remit it to the province. And they will not tell you in advance if you qualify for the exemption.
What, so they're making people pay up front and then get the money back if they're exempt? That's insane. That's insane.
And then, it's stupid. But it's all about collecting tax. So let's say, for instance, now this is only if you make a profit. The question is, what is a profit? If you flip a property and there is no profit, like you make improvements, but your costs
of course,
are above that, can I deduct my cost? Nobody knows.
Well, you would think that you can deduct your costs. That would be the obvious common sense.
This is not being audited by the CRA. This is being implemented by the provincial government, of which.
So what we're redefining what a capital gain is?
Hey, capital gain doesn't apply because you've also got the federal tax. What I also want to know is it 20% federal plus 20%? So is it actually 40%?
That would be
because now it's income tax, right? It's income tax federally. So what we're going to have is a bunch of decrepit houses that nobody wants to fix up. In my market, lots of people fix up properties, live in them for a little bit, and then turn them over. It's very common. Tradesmen do it all the time. I did a video on my channel about it that got like 7 views. But basically they were like, is there a problem with flipping in the first place? And the obvious answer ended up being no. And who does flip properties? Who do you think flips properties?
Well, what do you mean? The people that can renovate them?
Big, rich landowners, right? No, it's not true. It was new immigrant tradesmen, usually men, usually business owners, not businesses. Well, that's not true. A bunch of them were businesses. So some of them actually did it for profit. So you got to think, like, if you've got the ability, this is a home flip. So you buy a home, you're some sort of a skilled tradesman. And because you know how to do the trades, your labor is free. So you're basically paying for your labor out of the home, right?
Yeah.
You got buddies that'll come over and do it for cheaper or whatever, cash deals. And we can't do that because that's not tax or whatever. So then you're, say, a plumber, you're making 150 grand a year. Maybe you own a plumbing business, something like that, but it's your principal residence. You do that for, let's call it 9 months, a year. And it's a way to flip a property and maybe put an extra 40, 50, 60 grand in your pocket by the end of the year.
So by the way, this also applies if it's your principal residence, not just if you bought it and you.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
It still applies to, okay.
That's the difference, is it used to be exempt on your principal residence.
Yeah.
Because it was always taxable when it was.
If it was an investment,
not your principal, right? So this is now, screw you, stay there. So maybe the people will just wait 2 years.
I mean, that might be when the market picks up again. Anyways.
But are you going to give me a tax break when I lose right now? Because I talked to a guy yesterday who's negative $150,000 in 2 years.
Doubt it.
No tax break for him. Does he get to write that off against your absorbent tax collection fees for the? Of course not. So it's stupid. It's another, hey, look at us. We're going to fix something with a tax. Right. How much tax has fixed anything yet?
Well, this is like, you talk about this all the time. It's like we're literally just taxing more for a tax that was already in place. This isn't even a new idea. This is just increasing a tax that was already there federally and pushing out the timeline from 1 year to 2 years.
They put an actual percentage on it as opposed to tying it to income tax, right?
Okay. All right. Fine. But still, this isn't a new idea. They're just making the tax higher.
They don't got new ideas. They don't got good ideas. That's why we have Marvel movie after Marvel movie.
Hey, the DC universe. You see that Superman trailer, Steve? You pumped for that?
I did not. That looks terrible.
It does not look terrible. You should watch the trailer. You might get excited for it. That is the launch of the DC.
Superhero movies suck. Superhero movies suck. If you watch superhero movies,
the last
for your brain.
The last 5 years of superhero movies have not been very good, but leading up to that, they were good for a bit.
All right.
I'll
give you the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. That was awesome. And then the rest of them, beat it. Tim Hudak as Batman was great. Other than that,
I've never seen Tim and Michael Keaton in the same room. All right, Steven. I put out a video on my channel a few weeks ago, and this was the first time when you're pressing submit on a video or you're scheduling it, you're just like, okay, this one, I think this will do well, or this one won't do so well, but it will educate people. This one I was actually nervous to post. And the reason why is because I made a video telling my audience, which now has over 20,000 views, why I sold all my condos.
Hey folks, if you're looking for a real estate agent in the city of Toronto, let's face it, you gotta call my buddy Tom Storey of the Storey team and Royal LePage Signature in Toronto, Ontario. They're your obvious choice because Tom is not just the co-host of this podcast. No, he is a real life and top producing real estate agent in the city of Toronto. There's nobody out there that knows the condo market better than Tom and his team in downtown, but they do service the entire city of Toronto and any of your residential real estate needs. So if you're looking for an agent, do not hesitate to reach out to Tom, book a call with him using the link down below in the description of this podcast, and let Tom guide you through your real estate journey. And now back to the podcast.
And as someone that is one of the leading condo people in Toronto, and just to be clear to the viewers, we sell lots of houses too, but we do have a massive market share in condos in downtown Toronto. I was nervous. I'm like, is this video going to be something that hurts my business? But I was like, you know what? I want to tell the truth. I want to tell the audience what's going on in my life, how I'm thinking about this. I'm not even saying this is a good idea for them. This is just how I'm looking at the world right now. I think some people thought I like sold 4 condos last year or something, and all were making fun of me about what my capital gains were going to be. But no, I've been slowly doing this over the past 5 years. It just, I used to only own all condos, some by myself, some with investment partners. And now I only own freehold properties.
But because you've been able to move up.
Well, that's kind of the point. And I made that clear, but I probably waited too far into the video to have that conversation with the audience. Was like, the only reason I'm where I am now is because I bought condos, invested in condos that allowed me to get to a house. And I'm very, very happy I did it. And if a condo came up for sale right now at the right price, I would still buy it. Like, I'm not saying I'm against condos. But the comment section was one of the more wild comment sections I've had on my channel in a long time. It's so funny. Steve, the other day, someone commented on somebody else's video saying that I was a housing bear, and I've always been very bearish. And I'm like, well, what are we talking about? Well, what is it? We got to make up our minds.
Morons are everywhere, man. There's no getting around that.
But the reason that I'm bringing this up is because I wanted to talk about this on this channel. You own a condo investment, and I think you're going to be holding it for a long time. And if I had just kept the ones I had, I still would have cash flowed, and the mortgage would have been paid off probably 15 years from now, and it would have been a great investment. But personally, and I know this doesn't make total sense, but I wanted that money to pay down my primary residence. Like, as much as I want to continue to invest, I want my house to be almost paid off. And I know, like, if the house goes up in value and you're leveraged and it's not capital gains, then why don't you continue to leverage it? Because that's not your money, blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I'm just at the point now, like, I want my house paid off. And I'm taking the funds that I had from these condos and I'm doing that, and I'm paying it down really quick. And great. I'm very, very happy about it. Saying all that, this is going to be the biggest 180 ever. I also have 10 things that I think anyone that is going to invest in a condo in 2025 needs to hear. Am I allowed to share those 10 things? Are we
going to do all 10 of them right now?
Yeah.
Okay, go.
It's all right.
Man, we should
go through them quickly.
I don't know if we're allowed to go long here today, but I feel like we got so much more to talk about.
Okay.
We wasted 25 minutes talking about an asshole.
I don't think we wasted time. I think everyone was expecting us to talk about that today when this episode came out. 10 things condo investors need to know, and this is what I wish I knew 10 years ago when I got started. Okay, Steve? And let me know if you agree or disagree on any of these. I'll go through them quickly. The first thing is you have to decide, are you buying resale or pre-construction? That's not even a question. You should be buying resale, in my opinion. It's not even a question. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I also realize if no one buys pre-con, like, that's going to be an issue.
No, that's good for your resale that you're buying now at a lower price. So
yeah, fair. But just for the general market and inventory coming, it will be an issue. You have to understand exactly how capital gains tax works. If you buy this condo investment and it does well and you own it personally or in a corporation, you have to understand exactly how much money you're going to pay in capital gains if you were to sell that in the future.
Don't own it in a corporation. Please stop.
Well, if you do it looks like right now, if this goes through, you're paying 66% on the whole thing instead of 50%. So
you're not paying 66%. You're paying 66% inclusion,
okay,
which is closer to 33%, which is up from like the previous 21%, which was 50% inclusion. So, but you're immediately paying the higher amount now
if you own it in a corp.
If you own it in a corp. And the only reason to own something in a corp is, as we learned from Jimmy, for other reasons, not necessarily tax reasons. Realistically, the only reason to own something in a corp is if your long-term plan is to hold, say, 4 or 5 properties or more for a long time. Then you want to think about a corp. But you do not, if you're going to own 1 or 2 rental units, own them in your own personal name.
If you can qualify for them in your personal name. The third thing is just general market trends, is understanding the last 20 years of what condos have done, haven't done, and understanding what you believe success is for you. Like, Steve, for your condo, I know it's still probably higher priced today than you thought it would be at this moment in time, even though it was worth a lot more and has come back a little bit down. What does success look like for you? If we're just talking about price growth on that condo investment, what percentage per year over a 10-year average would you be happy with?
That's not the way I looked at it. What I did was, I'm simple. Let's simplify this. Tom Story.
I think the way I said it was pretty simple too.
Surrey Steve's level.
Okay.
When I bought my condo, I paid $475 or whatever. And I thought to myself, and I think I said this to you and maybe Darren at the time when I was like, because you guys are my confidants. I was like, I think in 10 years, this thing's going to be worth $650.
And it got there in 2 years.
And it got there in a year. It was $699 in a year. Now it's probably between $599 and $629 now.
Okay.
Right. And we're 4 years in. I got one more. By the way, I have one more year at 1.89 because I did not ride variable like an idiot. So I'd say it's a smash success. I'm cash flow positive.
But let's say it doesn't change in value from now until year 10. For the next 6 years, the value doesn't change. You're still happy because what's crazy that you got there by now. It's nuts.
Yeah. So it's a great investment. It's been a fantastic investment.
So I just think for everybody, and this is something that Chris Lydom has always stuck in my head, is like when you go into anything in life, understand what the outcome that you are looking for is in that situation and what success looks like for you. My
number one, I had multiple calls already since I've been back from vacation about, people, hey, what should I do? Should I buy? Should I sell? I'm going to lose money on this. And my first question is always, they're asking, well, is it a good time to buy? And I'm like, well, what is your measure of success? If you do not define your measure of success, just stop what you're doing right now. Yeah. So people go, well, they want to hear good, bad.
Right.
That's it. And it's like, no, but what's right for you? They haven't even thought about, oh yeah. They just think more money, future, less money, future. That's it. Like cavemen. Like you have to understand or at least think about what is my measure of success. Right now, if your measure of success is to make 25% in 2 years on a pre-sale purchase,
that ain't it.
Please just burn your money in a barrel now. It'll be more fun. You'll get some heat off of it.
My measure of success is to get this podcast to 8,000 subscribers this year. So make sure to hit that subscribe button.
My measure of success is to try and get at least 7 more views on my main channel because it is dying. But tomorrow I have a video coming out absolutely destroying sellers. So
let me guess. That. Is it about floor plans? All right.
No.
Okay. I'm going to go through the rest of these quick because we got things to talk about. The number 4 thing is you have to understand the minimum down payment you need, which if it's an investment, you need 20%. You have to have a long-term perspective. You have to understand how rent control works in the market that you are purchasing in, because all across Canada is slightly different. In Ontario, November 15th, 2018, anything built after that is not under rent control. Anything before that, blanket rent control, 2.5% for 2025. You have to understand how the landlord-tenant board works. If your tenant misses rent, you
Good
should
luck.
document it with the specific form that you have to. Even if you're not trying to kick them out, you have to submit that form so you have documentation of absolutely everything along the way. Steve, do you want to pitch in with anything there?
You have to submit a form to the tenancy board every time.
You don't have to, but if you want to document everything, I'm blanking on the number of the form. When we go back to what does success look like to you, and this doesn't even really have to be condos, it's just real estate investments. Are you buying because you want cash flow or because you want capital appreciation? Because if you want cash flow, you can do it with 50% down. If you want capital appreciation on a condo in Toronto, you're probably going to have to wait a few years.
Yeah. I don't know how many times I have to yell it from the rooftop, but like, dude, there's no cash flow, right? Everybody's like, I got 20% down now.
Yeah, it's been gone. That's been gone for years.
I don't know who you've been listening to out of which southern state you've been watching YouTube channels about cash flow for like $100,000, but it ain't here, man.
Understanding what property management looks like if you're going to do it yourself or if you're going to hire a company, and then knowing the different style of units. You can buy the smallest one bedroom because the numbers work the best on return, but when it comes time to release it or resell it, it might be a lot more difficult to actually move it.
Who needs a floor plan video now, Tom?
Just 10 units, kind of like this in a circle, like an octagon. Well, I guess not an octagon, not a circle. And then in the middle is just one shared bathroom. That's Steve's idea of a perfect condo building floor plan.
I mean, hey, you're not the one with
a
couple of 250,000 view videos on your channel, jerk.
Okay, all right. No. Yeah, I've never crossed 100,000, unfortunately.
You should maybe. The key is to get 100 views on like 1,000 videos and then get one that hits 100,000.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But that's my advice for anyone looking to get in, because I will say, Steve, it is January 9th today. We're recording this on Thursday. It comes out on Sunday. This is the first real week in my mind of like people are doing things again. People are having conversations. I have had this week booked. I have one this afternoon. I have 3 tomorrow. I had 4 on Monday. I don't know what the math is here exactly, but 10 appointments in 5 days. Mm-hmm. 6 sellers, 4 buyers. I'm telling you, people are getting ready to do things. They're getting ready. And a few of the sellers too, when I'm talking to them, they're like, oh, that's a 2019 price. Like, I'll just wait. But every single day.
So I've got a completely different experience right now.
Okay.
Every single person I'm talking to right now is a seller.
Yeah. So more inventory, prices go down.
Inventory clicking over on the new year was at 12-year highs.
So people just didn't take it off at the end of the year?
Not as many as we thought. We're starting the year with more inventory. Inventory's flooding back 50% faster than last year. Mm-hmm. Sales are at the same pace. And every single seller I'm meeting with, some are reasonable and they come around, but every single seller I'm meeting with right now wants between 5 and 10% more than market value for their property. And they're going to try that price to get there. Right. So some then come around and go, okay, I understand that's ridiculous. This is what I was hoping for. But seller expectations are through the roof. And they do not want to hear it right now. And what I'm trying to get across, and this is my video that's coming out tomorrow, is like, you will, in this market, what the numbers are telling me, you will sell for less later because you're trying to get more now.
Yeah.
Right? You are guaranteed you are losing money. And for some reason, that's my fault because I'm a crappy realtor. I'm telling you, sell for what your agent tells you you're going to sell for now, because in the greater Vancouver area right now.
So you think prices for freehold are going to go down this year?
They are sliding downwards.
Okay.
It's like a slow baby oil slide down a very
don't bring baby oil into this
P. Diddy driveway on a slight low down slope that's hopefully not on fire right now in LA. But I'm just saying, like,
By the way,
not,
the LA's just to like, hopefully everyone there is doing okay, because those fires are very scary. And actually, someone in my office, their friend's house completely burnt down yesterday. So hopefully everyone's okay and safe.
it's absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
So can I get back to my point?
Yeah, I didn't want to skip over that.
You just have compassion. I'm making a point. I appreciate your compassion. I don't have any. Let's keep going. It's a slow slide. So even if it's 1% per month and you're not in a rush, and then you wait 4 months, take 4% off of your price, and not the price you wanted to list for, but the price your agent recommended that you would sell for, right? Take 4% off of that. And then so if you're not happy with the price the agent is, and you're 10% high already,
You won't be happy in the future either.
You're going to be selling for way less than you think. There are buyers out there. Sales volume is not bad. It's just not picking up with the amount of inventory. I'm telling you, this spring, there's going to be a whole lot of people leaving money on the table.
I think that in the Toronto market, what Steve just said is true for condos. I don't necessarily think that's true for freehold housing in our market this year. I think freehold's going to go on a little run.
You know what's crazy? I was looking at the numbers, and Langley detached homes were up 24% average price year over year.
December to December? Yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter. That's a
so
silly
I was like,
month.
oh, take that, trolls that told me I was going to be,
Oh, your December to December number. Yeah,
but
okay.
the benchmark price was up like less than 1%. So that just means higher valued properties are selling. For tenant, landlord, or homeowner insurance policies, go to squareone.ca/the Tom Storey Show. Use the link in the description. Save $20 when you start your free quote right now. So anyway, that's what we're seeing out there. It is not going to be a crazy busy.
I think it will be busier than the last few years, but I agree with you. I don't think it's going to be crazy prices or anything.
I think we're going to see 15,000 sales, which is totally average for us.
I think we'll be above. Well, totally average is still better than the last 2 years.
It's about the same. It's almost.
Oh, really?
The last 2 years were within a percent.
Our market. Our market was
last
significantly
couple years,
down.
I think we were 14,600 or something like that, and 14,300, or like really small number difference. And I think we'll maybe be around 15,000. And then I looked at 2021, 27,000 sales that year.
Crazy.
Like, that was gangbusters.
That's
good news is my market share is way up. So I'm appreciative of that.
Well, congratulations, Stephen, on your market share. At
the end of talk about,
yeah, we do. I got one more thing I want to bring up. But I know this is end of December when I was looking at this, but I just thought it was interesting. At the end of December, of all the active listings for sale in the city of Toronto, almost 70% were condos. And I know this is one specific area, but I was trying to make a point to someone. I was like, let's go take a look. Is like, if you want to buy a semi-detached property, and let's pick like a great pocket in the city in like Roncy. You know how many semis were for sale at that moment in time when I looked? 4. And there was thousands and thousands of condos. So I just really think that freehold's gonna have a good year here in Toronto, let alone with the new mortgage rules kicking in. All right, before we get into what you want to wrap things with, I have another fun quiz, as I like to quiz you on this show. We've got the big 6 banks in Canada. Is National Bank one of the big ones? Whatever. I've got 6 big banks in Canada, and I've got what their policy rates for Q4 2025 projections are for the overnight rate from the Bank of Canada. So let's start with BMO, our favorite bank.
Currently, tons of BMO branches, by the way, in Tucson, Arizona. Couldn't believe it. I'm like, what is going on?
What are they doing?
It was Bank of America #1. BMO #2, and it doesn't say Bank of Montreal anywhere. It just says BMO.
BMO. They don't even know what it means.
National Bank, by the way, very prevalent in Montreal, which is ironic.
It is ironic. And
The Separatist place
Toronto,
has the National Bank, and the Americans have the Bank of Montreal.
our soccer team is sponsored by the Montreal Bank in Toronto, which is kind of funny. All right, so we're currently at 3.25 by the end of Q4 2025. Where do you think BMO has the overnight rate at? Steven, go.
I'm looking at it, so
don't cheat. No, what did you look at it for?
It's open on my notes, man.
All right, whatever. I'm just going to tell you then.
Okay.
BMO has the overnight rate at 2.5. That was my prediction for the end of next year, getting down at 2.5. Where do you think Ben Tal and CIBC has it at?
I know he wanted it at 2.25.
That's what they've got.
Okay.
In terms of what
that's where I actually think we're going to be. I actually think we're going to be like 2.25 or less personally now.
And they also said for CIBC, they asked them their policy rate for Q4 26. So 2 years out, and they also said 2.25. So they think they're just going to get there and hold it there until the end of 2026. National Bank
won't happen then.
Well, yeah. So, but then this one's interesting. National Bank said that they thought it would get to 2.25 by the end of 2025. So that's another full point off. But then they said by the end of 2026. They thought it would be back at 2.75. So they think there's going to be a 50 point somewhere after in 2026. Kind of interesting. Not very many banks gave you both projections. RBC had the overnight rate getting, they're the lowest on here, to 2% by the end of 2025. So another 1.25 off the top. Scotia had it at 3%. So Scotia is the most conservative in terms of what's going to happen. They think there's only one more 25-point cut happening here. And the big green comfy chair had it at 2.25 at the end of 25 and 2.25 at the end of 26. So we got from the lowest 2, the highest 3, most people in the 2.25 range, and BMO at 2.5.
So do me a favor. I actually went to look for last year's chart and I couldn't find it. So save this.
Okay. I'll save this chart.
Because I want to find out who the most reliable banks are in the future going forward.
Whose prediction was less wrong is usually the way that we look at these things.
And then if Doug's wrong when he comes back on, we'll just give him the cue.
We'll just say, don't worry, try again. You're a great guy. All right, Steve, what did you want to wrap with?
I made a decision on my mortgage. I have not yet signed it.
Oh,
I've made a decision on my mortgage,
which we'll tell you about next week. Thank you so much for watching. Go.
What?
I was trying to do a cliffhanger. No, go for it. Go for it.
So I went to Tucson with my brother from another mother, John Bai, and one night my wife and I are sitting in the hot tub, and way too much wine, and the influence of John is heavy on me.
It's where the 10 pounds came from.
I mean, he's only 12 pounds, so
he's pretty skinny,
small guy. I mean, he's about your size, so and we're sitting there and just going over things, and he's laughing at us because I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with my mortgage, 4%. He's like, by the way, their 30-year mortgages are still 7.2%.
They're 7. Yeah, they were totally wrong in the States. There's people talking about that they were getting to the 5s last year. It didn't come close.
So he's laughing at me he's like, dude, this is all still free money. He's like, how stupid are you? He's like, don't pay that off. He's like, I'm telling you what you need to do, and this is what we've decided to do now, is take the lowest rate possible at the time.
Sure.
And that might be a lock-in. It might be a variable.
Are you staying with Manulife, or are you going to somewhere else?
I'm staying with Manulife. Manulife, okay. If you're listening, I'm definitely not staying with you, and I'm shopping you around like crazy. So you better give me a good rate.
Mm-hmm.
And
sorry for outing you.
You're not outing me. I'm not staying with Manulife.
Oh, right.
Okay. So the plan is, do not pay down. My mortgage is already being paid by somebody else. It's also a very low balance. I'm gonna have like $200,000 left.
Right. We're not talking about $1 million mortgage here.
No, I'm not. And I was very aggressive on paying it down. Like it's an extra $200,000 or $300,000 less than where it should be anyway. But take the lowest rate. And then all the extra cash, instead of dumping it down on your mortgage at this point in time, it's all invest. It's all just
So it's literally the
maximum.
opposite strategy that I've been taking.
Yeah, but I think that's because I have taken for the last 6 or 7 years a
That
hard
strategy.
pay down strategy,
Right.
right? Like I haven't,
Right.
I don't think I've put into my RRSPs outside of this last year since like 2019, 2018
Okay.
maybe. So I was like taking all that money and paying down, and it turned out to be very a smart thing to do. But now that basically I have no living expense,
Right.
you know, or shelter expense, I should say. It's all got to be invest and hold on to your hat, Tom Storey, even though you're not wearing a hat.
Mhm.
I have to spend more time enjoying my life. And that is not spending money on things, that is spending money on experiences. So
Which are more expensive than things normally.
fuck, they're so expensive, man. It's so bad.
You gotta stop going to the States. It's gonna cost you 30% more.
I mean, it does, but then everything's 30% cheaper, so it's the same bloody price.
Is it 30?
Like, we went to a very fancy restaurant with 3 kids and 4 adults, and after exchange and drinks and appetizers and
Sure.
you name it, the bill, I looked on my credit card this morning, it was $368.
After exchange and tip and everything.
Yeah. And
Okay.
my wife and I can't go to the Cactus Club and do the same thing for a pair of us for
You
under
could in January.
$175.
You could in January if you didn't drink.
Yeah, but we did drink. That's what I'm saying. So let's like if you took you think of like the fancy but not top end restaurant in your neighborhood.
We have the same ones as you. Like we have
your
Earls
family
and
goes there.
King Tabs.
Let me get to the point. You and your best friend and your family and kids, everybody goes there. I know your kids are young, so they're not eating a ton, but my kids are older. You're feeding, let's call it 6.5 people. You're all having appies
and Steve's having 12 Coors Lights.
You could not do that. You could not do that in Canada for $360 after tip and tax. You could not do it. I mean, maybe if it's Boston Pizza, but not if it's
sure,
somewhere nice. Like this was like a get a reservation, line up at the door. I can't believe how many people are here. Restaurant, and so anyway, that's the strategy.
Normally, I'd avoid those places with kids the age that I have. Anyway,
totally.
So
I get it.
Yeah.
I understand. It was so loud in there, it didn't matter. We were actually the quietest ones there. It was Italian, so you know those Italians, they get a little loud. But it's going to be very hard for me to do because my strategy has always been pay it down. I don't like debt, and I do not go out of my way to have experiences. I work every day. And that's that. So,
are you having a midlife crisis?
No, I don't think I'm having a midlife crisis at all. I'm trying to have one.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Are we gonna get a sports car? What are we doing? Let's get some Sea-Doos.
No, I actually should get my car back on the road.
Yeah, maybe spend your time fixing up that thing.
My lowrider, by the way. But it's going to be very hard for me to do. And then at that point in time, I don't know if this is going to happen or not yet, but in the same week, John actually is like, hey, by the way, we got a spare room going on in Mexico in a couple of months.
Go.
And normally I'm like,
book it.
And last night I was like, it might happen. I might be podcasting.
As long as you'll podcast from there.
Maybe I might have to double up one time. Anyway, so it's just it was a shift. It was also a shift because I know this is John's strategy, and I've seen his investment account and where he's at and how things work. And he's like, dude, you're too young. You're too young to have stuff paid off. And so it was, I think that's the way I have to take it. I just got to get the lowest rate and not worry about it. Because honestly, like, let's say this, my mortgage can be $1,400 a month, right?
Yeah, but for people that don't watch every show, like Steve's basement's rented out and his mortgage is covered by somebody else anyway. Yeah. So keep that in mind during this conversation. You're not even paying your own mortgage.
I just keep thinking about like what is that money really worth? It's not worth that much. The debt on my place is like $200,000, and the debt is devaluing as we go.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, so if it's covered and it's devaluing, why worry about it?
Well, I've changed my mind. I'm investing in condos again, and I am leveraging as
That's
much as
not true.
possible.
We need to end this. I didn't get to a third of the things I wanted to talk about. We gotta talk a little bit next week about Tucson, Arizona, because I might become a snowbird.
Well, we'll see if our guest, who we're having on next week, is a big golfer. Maybe he's been down in Tucson to golf. Well, maybe we'll start the show with that. We'll ask him.
I
We'll
went to
see.
Topgolf.
You went to top. That doesn't really count. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you for watching. I hope your 2025 is off to just an amazing start. Make sure to subscribe and let us know in the comments what you think about everything we talked about today. Bye.
Peace out.